Thanks so much for joining us today. This is Cosmic Conversations. The three of us and all of you are here to have cosmic conversations about all kinds of things, be it something way out there, something really simple in here, just all kinds of things. We want this to be an interactive dialogue. We're here for whatever is showing up, whatever is alive. It might be questions and topics and experiences that you bring, and it might be stuff that's here for us that we talk about. We want this to be interactive. Feel free to unmute and share. Feel free to raise your hand or however you'd like to engage. You're welcome to turn on your video or be there with your video off. Just know we're recording. We've got us spotlighted. So the three of us are appearing in the video, and you won't be appearing in the video unless you want to come up on stage with us. Oh, and we mean this to be just general conversation, general Q&A about stuff. If you have some personal item that you want support on, there is a way to do that, and it's a different price. So that's something that you can get at any time if you want. And we're here just to talk and explore. We'll have all three of us introduce ourselves so you get to know who we are and how we come to be here. And yeah, so let's all do that for the recording too. So that's here. And then, yeah, we'll dive into whatever we're here to explore today. Does one of you want to go first, or do you want me to jump in, or however you want to do it?
I'll go first.
Okay,
Hi,
cool.
everyone. I'm Crystal Novak. I call myself a spiritual consultant. That's what it says on my business card. So if we have to put labels on stuff, I'm a psychic, I'm a conscious channel, and I also do energy work. Um, but basically, the bottom line is I know stuff. Spirit talks to me from a lot of different places, and so that's why it's hard to describe all this because it doesn't fit tidy in a box. And that's another reason why we have these conversations so that we can talk about different stuff because there's no real quote unquote definitive answer like, you know, you could find on other things. So I've been doing this for over 40 years. I have a fairly esoteric background about a lot of different metaphysical knowledge and information. So hopefully I'll get to apply that in our conversation this evening. Thanks for joining us.
And I'm Kai.
Wait.
I'm a
Sorry, wait,
Wait,
Hawaiian
before you go.
Kahuna.
I was just going to, sorry, I was muted. I was going to nudge you, Crystal. Maybe could you say a little bit about the group you were part of? I think that it's really informative to get a sense of your background, just the depth of your background with that.
you always want me to talk about that. Okay. So I had somebody I met at a training seminar, and she told me about a woman who was channeling and thought I'd really be interested in it. And I was, so I went. Um,
And this is long, long
and
ago.
yeah, this is long ago. This is well over 35 years ago. Um, when I rode my dinosaur. Ah, but anyways, I went and she was an unconscious channel and she was channeling an ascended master named Katumi. And we met once a week for 35 years and he taught us all kinds of stuff. The basics like meditation, grounding, breathing, breath work, sounding, working with our chakras, working with Hermetic doctrine, which are principles and laws that govern the expression of energy on all the different planes. The rays, Kabbalah, the tree of life. I also still am an astrologer, so that's another platform that I use my abilities on. Um, yeah, and so yeah, it was it was amazing. I learned a lot of stuff. And then over time we would come back to a concept and he'd open it up again and it'd be like, wow, we haven't talked about that in a long time. And it's like, where am I now with that information now that he's opening it up again and reintroducing it again? So um yeah, saved my life, I think, from a lot of different stuff or other choices I could have made. Still managed to make some crappy ones anyways, but still I was very grateful and continue to be grateful to this day for that experience. He is still one of my teachers. He will show up if I ask him to, and but most of the time he's like, "You got this." Yeah. So, anyways, there's more. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for sharing a little bit about that. I think that's helpful for people to know that this exists, that this happened, and like that's some of your background. Okay, Kai.
Okay. So I'm a Hawaiian Kahuna, um, and I do not have 35 years of experience in training in terms of like being with a conscious channel. However, what I do have is an ability that I've had ever since I was literally an infant, according to my mother, which is the ability to see. And what I can see is lots of things that most people can't even describe. So, angels, demons, things I don't even have names for. I can see if someone has a connection to source or not, or, and if they have attachments, I can read energy fields. That's kind of been my go-to thing of late is actually reading energy more so than anything else. And I've been having a lot of fun with that, honestly, because I get to see lots of different things. And the subtleties in energy have been very interesting for me to see. And that actually helps with my healing work. That actually helps when I do like these big energy projects that I've been kind of assigned to do, which has been the newest development in my spiritual progress over the past, I would say, past 6 months or so. And, I'm a mentor, an author, a speaker, and I have been grateful that I've been allowed to do many things that other people have not, cannot, will not in terms of energy and being able to see things into the future, into the past, into other dimensions to help others achieve whatever it is that they want in their life, as well as work on my own stuff. Um, and having these types of conversations with not just Crystal, but with just other practitioners has allowed me to expand in ways I never imagined. And I thought, we need to be able to put this in a format that other people can access so that they can have this type of experience as well. So that's why I want to do it.
It's great. And listening to you brought up something for me that I want to ask about after I introduce myself. So at one place we can start if someone doesn't bring something else. Well, I'm Laureli Shimayo, and Kai and Crystal described that they have these conversations sometimes at the fairs. Sometimes I would come walking by and jump in, and I want to participate. What's going on? It sounds fun. And so this is the way that we get to have all these conversations together. I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, and matchmaker, and I run the MeWe fairs, all the events in person and online. And I read your soul in your eyes, just like I think we all really do. And I do it in a way that's maybe more conscious, more tangible, so I can articulate what I believe your soul purpose is and how you can best go about achieving that purpose, give you advice on who to connect with, who to stay away from, and things like that. Because I'm reading people's energies too, in ways that I understand in terms of archetypes and ways that I can teach, and in a bunch of ways that I don't quite understand what I do. I just pick up and sense things, and my aim is to share that in a way that's useful for you. One way I love to use it is for matchmaking, helping people find soulmates. And yeah, it's been a great journey for me. I used to be a scientist, and I have some training in how to do some of the work that I do. And then being around lots of other great practitioners is really the way that I've had informal education now for a long time. It's 11 years ago this month that we started all of the MeWe Fairs events. Well, the first fair in person, we started a few months before that, meeting just social events like this, getting together to talk about stuff. Oh yeah, that's a bit about me. And yeah, it's exciting. We just got joined by someone else too. So it's great to have community together. Maybe I'll just way of connecting with all of you before we launch into some topics. Our aim is for this to be interactive conversation, discussion. You're welcome to bring whatever questions you have, share whatever experiences you want to share. We're here just to talk about stuff and learn from each other. Keep in mind that this is recorded and it is going to be posted on our YouTube channel. We plan for this to be conversation. If something's here that you want deeper support on, personal support, there's a way that you can do that just like you can in our panel events. It's the same pricing structure. It is, 20 to 28 sliding scale or $12 for BIPOC folks. If you want to do that, you can do that. You can pay on the Humanitix site, just like you did get your ticket today, and just let us know if you want to do that. Otherwise, we're just here to have conversations. So I know I've got something I want to ask about. Does someone have something else they want to jump in with first? Or should I just go?
Oh,
I just
what you
want to
got?
wait and see if anyone back there
Yeah.
too. So Kai, when you were describing seeing things, it sounds like, and you had a particular focus on seeing energy and reading energy now. Like when I hear that, I think, well, I know you've been doing this since you were a kid, right? When you were a kid, you might have, and maybe I just want to give some context to the story that you've told. Your mom talked about how when you were very little and she wasn't sure about some new person that showed up, she would take you and kind of hold you near that person and see how you behaved. And if you went, ah, she knew that that was not a good person. So
Hmm.
you were picking stuff up in whatever way from when you were little. But so if you see this, if you've always kind of seen this, what is it that you're doing now that's different? Like, haven't you seen the same stuff all along? Or are you seeing new things now? Or are you focusing differently on some things? Have you had up like kind of like filters to not see stuff? Or like what's shifted so that you're paying attention to some new things now? Or what,
Well,
yeah,
for
how do
me,
you
it's
describe
like
what's
as
going on?
time has gone on, yeah, it's been more, I guess when you're because as I get older, it's like there's more detail that actually makes sense to me, right? Because I guess when I was younger, it was like, okay, that's good, that's bad. It was very simplistic, right? In the categorization. And now that I'm older, it's like, wait, there's a whole bunch of gray in there. And it's like, okay, and so that's why when people are like, oh, do I have something attached to me? I'm just like, yeah, but it's not life threatening. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Because now I have that designation. It's like, yes, this is something that if it continues to stay with you, that it could potentially kill you. Versus, oh, this is just like a mischievous little spirit. It's just here to like it's just here to mess with you. It's not here to cause any danger or anything like that. And if you want to, you can just tell it to, get out of your house or whatever. And so I think for me that's a significant difference is that I can tell like the range of stuff versus before it was just like good or bad. And in reading energy fields, like, because before it was like I could always see stuff, but I never really allowed myself to like look at things and really try to like, okay, what exactly am I looking at? Just so that my logical brain can make sense of it and kind of categorize it and put it in some sort of box that makes sense to me. And now I am. And so now I can see all these different things, and that's why I can be like, well, yeah, that's nothing to worry about. That is something to worry about. That is something that you want to take. It's almost like, okay, there's a lot more gradation in what I can do, and giving people like a timeline. Like I was talking to somebody at the fair, and I said, well, yeah, you have something attached to you, and if you don't get rid of it at some point, it's going to be a significant problem for you. And she was like, well, I don't know if I want to spend the money for that. And I'm like, that's a legit concern. I was like, and if you don't want to do it right now, you certainly don't have to. There's no immediate need. I was like, but keep that in mind that this is something that you're going to have to do something about later, sooner rather than later. But yeah, okay.
Right, or have bigger consequences.
So then that way that
What would you say is your like how you're sensing kind of the timeline? Is it just again from having experience of seeing enough things, or you're sensing the motivation of it differently?
well,
What can you
yeah, it's
say
like
more?
there's a lot of factors that go into it. So for instance, if I come across somebody who's got something that I can see is quite large and that I can read its intent because I can feel the energy that it's literally like vacuuming out the person's energy. And the person is telling me that they're already sick, they don't feel well, they have no energy, everything in their life is going horribly, and their pets have died. That's like a classic symptom of this is like imminent danger stuff.
Hmm.
But if somebody tells me like, I've been having a few nightmares here and there, and um yeah, it's like I've been kind of uneasy, and the thing that I see on them doesn't feel like it's super strong or that it's like heavily embedded in their energy, that tells me that there is more time for that person to kind of process and do this thing before it becomes a problem. But eventually if left long enough, everything that's attached that should not be will become a problem. It's just a
Mhm.
matter of time.
Mhm. And again, you say embedded, how embedded it is. I I can imagine that visually, and I can imagine like how that might feel to me
Hmm.
if something's embedded. Is there anything else you can say about that or how you pick that up?
Well, yeah, it's because of the fact that I am now so sensitive to energy that I can distinguish between what is the person's energy signature and what is not. And so when I can sense the two different energies, I can tell, like, here's the person's energy, here's the other. Like, how close are they? Are they meshed? And if so, then that means that it's embedded. And how deep that enmeshment determines, like, how serious it is, to the point where if the two are almost indistinguishable, that means that that's possession.
Does that have to do with timelines? Is it okay if I ask a question about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't think it necessarily has to do with timelines per se, but it's, once someone has something attached to them, they have a certain amount of time, depending on the entity itself and depending on their circumstances, about how long it's going to take before it really becomes a problem. Or, in other words, like, they have time to rectify the situation, and people have various means of doing that. But um, yeah, depending upon, like, there's lots of different variables that go into whether something is, like, you still have time to kind of deal with it versus this has to go now.
Great. I want to say, and Crystal, I know you have experience with these in your own way too. So if there's anything you want to add in here, go ahead. I just was particularly focused on Kai from what she said at first.
I I just find it really fascinating that with the different abilities that we all have, how each of us picks up information and then translates it and know what that means for how we relate to it. Um, I have an awareness of negative entities, but I don't see them. I feel them first. Um, I'm seeing them a lot more because I've been talking to Kai more and learning more stuff about them. So I can recognize them a lot more quickly. But I can tell when I'm sitting with somebody, so I can see it a lot of times, and other times there's this like Fritz wave of interference about me trying to tell them information. And it's like, okay, you got someone that's here jamming the signal so that you can't get this information. Um, and other times it'll show up for me. Most of my information is on a knowingness level, so it'll just show up as like I'll know stuff. So I will experience this energy in somebody's space, and then I'll have knowledge that, oh, that is also a lineage thing or an ancestor thing. This thing's tied to your lineage. And then sometimes it'll be like, okay, it's on your mom's side or it's on your dad's side. Um,
And again, can you
so
say anything about how you feel that? How you feel
how I,
like mom's side? Are you feel mom's side or dad's side, or you just get the information that it's mom or dad?
it's kind of hard to separate them
Mhm.
because sometimes I'll be talking to somebody and I'll be talking, let's say, about their heart center. And all of a sudden I notice my hand is here and I'm like tapping on my heart center. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So my body sometimes will do stuff that's in alignment with that energy.
Mhm.
Um, the part about like noticing the lineage thing is it's like starting off at this point and then goes, I need to zoom in on that. And so I zoom in on it and then more information comes up about whatever that particular thing is. Um, And I still look at Kai and I go, okay, demon, right? She goes, yeah. I go, okay. It's like, check my work, and this is what I'm getting. And Kai go, yeah. I go, okay, good. Okay. Just want to make sure. Yeah.
I know part of
And
how
for
I'm
me, it's
tuning
like,
in.
no, I was going to say, like, when I do when I look at someone's energy, like, I might see that it actually has a connection through their ancestral line or to their past lives. And then so I'll actually go and follow that string of energy to where it originates. Because I always want to go back to the point of origination, if I can. Because if it's just on the person and it's just like an immediate thing, like with this lifetime with this person in these circumstances, then it's like, okay, then that's easy because I can just whip it off and think nothing of it. But if it's a connection to an ancestor or a past life, then that is slightly more complicated. And then we get into the whole timeline things that Anne talks about, because then I have to go through the different lifetimes, and sometimes even there can be dimensional connections, so I have to jump through dimensions to get certain things as well to find the anchoring point. So it just depends on how complicated it is.
You
And
know,
sometimes it involves the Akashic records as well. That's another
Yeah.
resource point that will come up as well. Like, oh, I need to also clear this over here. So,
I'm gonna say I know there have been some times generally recently where one of you will say something about someone else that there, or even another practitioner too, will say something about entities basically being in that person's space. And my immediate response is, oh yeah, I could see that. I could feel it's really, I can feel that. And it's where I feel
Mhm.
something funny with that person, something weird, not good, just something. And I
Yeah,
haven't
just something
really
off.
focused on how to categorize it. But as soon as it's
Mhm.
said and it brings my attention to it, like, oh yeah. So it's just, I'm helping me map what that feeling is in me to start to learn what it is. Just like you're saying, Crystal, you're sensing it more, talking with Kai more.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, and that's what it is like it's because, especially if you know someone really well and you get to know what their energy feels like, or even if you don't know somebody, like you just get a sense of, wait, it's almost like two people are standing there instead of just one. And then you're like, wait,
Mhm.
that feels weird.
Yeah, so that's why
And
every time you
sometimes you
say these things, then it starts to map what the feeling is that I have and new ways of like
Yeah,
defining it
and
inside
that's
me.
what it is. It's literally like separating the person's energy signature from whatever else it is. And if it's and you can even go further with that and look at, okay, is it like a full other energy that's there? Or is it like partial? Because if it's partial, that could be a cord.
Yeah.
Oh, so
So it depends on,
my
go ahead.
partner just said the other day that there's stories that the building where her office is haunted. I'm like, oh yeah, totally. And I said something about, oh yeah, and then the owner, he totally has like stuff connected to him. And when you just said that right then about if it feels like multiple, and I think what I was sensing about him is it almost felt crowded, like there were other things around him. And so I'd go in the direction of ghosts, but I don't know what to categorize what it is, but I totally sense that there's stuff there.
Yeah,
Like
well, and it's
I don't
entirely
have a
possible.
visual of him. I don't know him, but I just can feel like I have a sense of who he is and what's going on.
Yeah, and it could be ghosts, but it could be demons too. I mean, because ghosts that's a whole nother category there. So it is entirely possible that a single person could be haunted, and or have entities attached to him as well. And then, the possibility is that it could be alien as well. I mean, there's lots of possibilities when you sense the person and something other than the person.
And
Is
the
it
other
okay if
thing
I share something?
that makes me think of is people that are first opening up to their abilities, and especially if they're a medium, and not every being out there is going to be your friend. And a lot of people, when they're new, they're like, oh, I'm just going to open up and like, who's ever going to come through? It's going to be amazing. It's like, oh, no, no, don't do that. I mean, would you open up your street door and just say, in a big spotlight on your house and say, hey, guess what? I'm just learning how to do stuff. Come on in. It's like, no, no. And also, if you are going with a group and someone in the group says, I'm going to teach channeling, if you're not sure, you might want to talk to somebody else that has better ability to assess that, because you don't know who they're calling in. You don't know what work they're doing. And especially if they say, I'm going to open a portal in my heart. And literally, I've had a practitioner tell me that. And I'm going to teach people in the class. We're just going to share information. I'm like, I'm glad I'm not going to be anywhere near your house when you decide to do that. So, and I knew she wouldn't hear me if I said, I was very like, oh, your heart. Okay. So do you have an awareness of what's coming through? Oh, sometimes I don't. I'm like, okay, so just yes, it's cool if you've got these abilities. It's cool if you want to pursue them and hone them and learn how to infuse it into your life. But there's that caveat as well that it's not all sunshine and roses, and there's particular ways you need to take care of yourself and your space so that you're not calling in critters that you don't want to have. Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrifying. That just that whole thing was just terrifying to me because,
Yeah.
well, I had a friend she's a medium and she refuses to have any kind of boundaries. She basically does what you just said, like throws the doors open. And she's come to me a couple of times and said, "Hi, I really need help. Like I feel awful. I'm sick and I can't function." And when I look at her energy, it was literally like covered with tar. That's what it looked like. And so I cleared all of that off of her, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, it feels so much better, blah, 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 blah." And I'm like, "Okay, now you have to set up your boundaries to make sure that you channel the correct things, positive entities only, high vibration stuff only." She refused. And so the tar happened again. And I cleared her again. And I said, "I'm done because I cannot keep helping you with this because this is a mistake you will not correct.
Yeah.
You have to protect yourself. If you will not do that, then here's a lesson for you. This one's gonna hurt, just so you know." And yeah, she's had lots and lots of problems. And it's not that I don't want to help her. It's because she doesn't learn from her mistakes. I'm like, you cannot do this. It does not work like this. Or it
Yeah.
doesn't have to work like this.
Yeah.
There is a safe way to do it. You just choose not to. And you can make that choice, but I'm not going to clean up after you.
Hmm.
So,
And it's one thing if you're doing it to yourself, but if you're a practitioner and that's your stance on things and you're working with other people, then you're just setting other people up to get attached to a demon or two. And
oh yeah.
then they're taking it home and then they're taking it around in the world. Um,
Yeah. Taking it back to their families, to their pets, to their elders. I mean, it's a mess.
yeah. And some people think it's cool. They're like, oh, cool. I'm interacting with a demon. It's like, this is not a TV moment. This is real. And you might think it's cool until it isn't. Um, so again, I'm not trying to make everybody else scaredy and like, I'm never going to touch a tarot card again. It's just, if you're going to do stuff and you are aware that you have abilities and you can feel things or see things uh, or have the knowledge and stuff that comes, work with someone who you feel is grounded and clean and like get the tips like what do I need to do to be safe? You need to ground, like seriously. You need to clear your energy after every time you work with somebody or as often as you want to. You need to have a shield. And Kai's really good about describing how to draw a shield around yourself. Um, And some people call in demons and don't want to get rid of them because they think they're getting extra power or some kind of gift from these demons. And be that as it may, there's no free lunch. So, um,
I think what you're describing is practice and integrity, and these are the kinds of things that for you are practicing in integrity.
yes. And it doesn't mean that I don't get stuff stuck on me. It doesn't mean that I don't get corded. I do periodically. But that's what energy hygiene is all about to me is cleaning and clearing up my space and doing chords and bands and if you know yourself and you know when you feel like you're kind of squared away and you're on center, then you're going to be a lot more sensitive to when you feel off. And when you feel off, then uh, that's a sign that you probably want to look and do some internal looking at yourself and again, be grounded, meditate, run your energy, clean your space. You can clean space on homes. It's not just related to you. Um, it's just having more of an awareness. Like don't walk out in the center of the freeway. I mean, don't do that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I think it's the big thing is that people need to become more aware of, even when you're developing your own gifts, is being aware of your own energy and what your energy is, and being able to separate your energy or make the distinction between your energy and another. Um, because I know when I first started, like, officially as an energy healer, there was like, I did not understand that concept. And I couldn't understand, like, I mean, seriously, like the second day that I was, when I had my Reiki training, we had a Reiki share. There was a guy on the table who was really, really sick, didn't know, I'd never met the guy, didn't know anything. And I've told this story before, but he's laying on the table and we're working on him, and I smell French fries. And I thought, oh, well, whatever. He just had French fries for lunch. I didn't think anything of it. I go home later that night and I'm talking to my friend on the phone and I'm like, where do I smell French fries? And I don't think anything of it. And then the next day I'm like flat on my back. I cannot move. I feel terrible. And I call my teacher and I'm like, what is wrong with me? And she said, oh, the person that you worked on was really, really sick and he really liked your energy. So he attached to you. So that's what it is. It's like he's literally like draining your energy right now because he's so sick. And I'm like, okay, well, what do I do about that? And she said, well, come into my office and I'll take care of it. And so I went to go see her and, she what it is she sent the cord to me and she cut the cord and, oh, felt so much better after that. But if I had known what my energy signature was to begin with, I would have known immediately. And so now when someone tries to cord to me, like I know immediately when someone tries to, and so it's really, really important for people who work with energy on any level. One of the first things that you should recognize is your energy signature.
Yeah.
And Julie's got her hand up. She's got a question. And then also, I just want to say there's another question
Yeah,
in the
she wrote
chat
a
that we want to get
question in
to
the
also. Yeah, but so for all of you that are here,
Yeah.
I know some people came in afterwards. We want this to be an interactive conversation. So feel free to raise your hand, speak up, and share and ask questions and all that. So go ahead, Julie. And Julie, do you want to come up here with us or do you want to ask from there? We're recording. And so those
I
of us that
might
are
have,
on stage are recording. Hmm?
yeah, I might have to drop off the call, so I'll just ask my question and maybe listen to it later, so I won't
Yeah,
go up.
great.
Yeah, I felt like my question just fit in the conversation because I've been listening to replays and I've heard you guys talking about, cleansing your energy, just imagining like a shower, and I've been doing shadow work, so I've, identified cords attached to me, dissolved them. I just feel like, and you talked about places. I've moved a lot in my life. I feel like, okay, I can have energy spread out a
Mm-hmm.
lot.
Mm-hmm.
So do you do it one at a time, or is there a faster way to, reclaim your energy and
Yeah, you
dissolve
can
the
you can
others?
do it all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
All at the
Okay.
same time. It's basically what you would do is, because as you have released energy, like left your energy in different places, you have picked up energy from different places. So what I do is, like, I do it as like an aura clearing. I basically just blow everything off that doesn't belong and send it back. I clean it before it goes back to wherever it goes. And then I call back everything that is mine. Again, I run it through like a cleansing process before I let it actually come back to my aura, and then I let it settle back in wherever it needs to fit, like a puzzle. And then I stabilize the energy so that everything hums again, and it's all like your energy sings one note kind of deal. So it stabilizes in that way. And then after that, it's good. So yeah, you can do it all at once. You don't have to, like, oh, there's this place that I lived and that place that I worked. You don't have to do any of that. Just blow it all off, clean it off, send it back. And same thing, call it all back, clean it before you come, and then let it settle.
And that cleaning can look like you imagine a giant filter around you, like a coffee filter or sticky trap or whatever you want to call it, and anything that is not for your best uh, to have it, you're setting a rule like, okay, anything that's not mine, it's going to get stuck out there, can't come through. Anything that is mine, as it comes through, it's getting cleaned off so that the final result that shows up is my own energy and it's in neutral now. I can take it back in and replant it.
Yeah, reintegrated or whatever.
Yeah, thank you. I couldn't think of the word. Um, Yeah. So you can put a shield around your home. You can put like a filter on your front door so whatever comes in, uh the good bad stuff gets left outside, and if that person wants to pick it up on the way out, fine. Um
I have a comment. Finally.
Yeah, go ahead.
Um, so I do practice called access consciousness bars, and one of the things they talk about is fatigue. And I was doing a bar session on my brother, and I silently did an entity clearing on him, and while I was running the energy on him, and I thought he was like asleep because that's kind of the effect that the has on him. And shortly after I ran that process, he said, "Am I supposed to leave too?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "There's these three guys. They're walking away." And he said, "One of them is this little Mexican guy. He has a mouthpiece on. He's a soccer player." And he like literally saw the entities leaving him. And I didn't tell him that I was running entity clearing on him. So, I mean, because I had had that done to me before, and I could like feel something happening, but it was really nice to get that confirmation from my brother when I
yeah,
was running it on him that it was happening for him too.
yeah.
Yeah, good
So,
job.
yeah. And then the other thing that these conversations made me think of is how sensitive animals are. Animals.
Thank you. Yes,
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah. Because like my dog, um, a couple of dogs that I've had over the years, when certain people would come into the room or come around them, they're like usually so greeting to everyone, but certain people, they're like backing away or walking around them, like giving them a big circle. They don't want to get in their energy field, you know.
Mhm.
Neither one of my dogs were barkers, and they didn't bark, but they definitely showed me clearly that that was not a person to be around.
Yeah, because because animals can see.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
why
they
like you
can
always have
see.
a thing where dogs will be like barking at empty corners or empty rooms and stuff like that because dogs can see. Cats can too. Actually, most animals can see, as far as I know. I mean, because I know horses can too. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So if I always tell people like if your dog is barking at nothing, it's not nothing. There's something there. You
Yeah.
just can't see it.
Great. And I just
That's
want to
so
jump back.
cool.
Julie, did we answer all of your question too? I just want to make sure since you're going to drop off at some point.
I guess the follow-up question I would have is if you had like chords with somebody that's like deeper, like, I had shadow work to do around my brother. This has been dissolved, but if I'm not done doing my shadow work with the people that I need to work on, if I, just cleanse, I'm guessing it's going to come back. So I do the shadow work, or is it that easy? It feels like too easy to be true.
Well,
Or
no, it depends because I mean, you can have an energy cord to someone that needs to be cut, but at the same time, if there's still, shadow work has to do with the stuff that you are carrying, not necessarily what someone else is carrying. So if you have not gotten rid of say for instance, you had a belief that you're that your brother, you are responsible for your brother in some way, and you still carry that belief. Like anytime you think about him, the cord would then be reestablished. So you can cut the cord all day long, but unless you get rid of the underlying belief that created the cord will come back. So that's the purpose of shadow work, is to get rid of the underlying beliefs that cause that create the environment that allows the cords to create.
Yeah.
And if we
Thank
don't
you.
want to, if we don't want to lose a connection or disconnect, like we'll prevent it. We either won't really cleanse it or we'll set it up where we grab it right back again. So
Yeah.
it's
Well,
we
I
have to
always
desire matters a lot.
yeah. Well, I always tell people that, you can reestablish cords in a more positive way. So if you get rid of the underlying beliefs that don't serve you well, and cut the cord to that person, if you still connected to that person, like your family member or something like that, you just choose the kind of connection or what kind of cord you're going to have with that person. It becomes a conscious choice. And it's, in other words, like you instead of having the cord where you're at a disadvantage in the relationship, like you establish another cord where we are equal partners in this relationship, and that I get what I need, you get what you need, and it is a balanced relationship. That's the kind of cord that you want with most people anyway. And so you can, when you do the shadow work, get rid of these underlying beliefs that don't serve you, you can reestablish cords in a much more equitable manner.
So will the chords influence your energy signature? As I'm trying to figure out what is my energy signature, I feel like I have better sense. But as if there are still chords or things, will that influence my energy signature, or I can
Yeah.
still feel it,
Yeah. If the cord is not in your best interest, then yes.
Yeah.
Because a cord that is not set up for your highest and best is there to manipulate you or to control you or to suppress you in some way, and that will alter your energy signature. And that's why, like, I tell people, like, when you're first doing shadow work, do yourself a favor and cut all your cords, all of them.
Yeah.
And then you kind of work on yourself a little bit, and then you reestablish the ones that you want. Like, you consciously, okay, I want to connect to this person, I want to connect to that person, I want to connect to that person. But yeah, start from the beginning. Just cut all the cords. It doesn't hurt anything, really, in terms of, like, an actual relationship. Like, you can still talk to that person and not be corded to them. So yeah, start there. Like, cut all the cords off, recognize what your energy signature is, and then that will help you going forward.
Thank you.
And there's something about being aware too, in that if there's a relationship that's important and you're choosing to let the person depend on you for something, and it's a risky time right then, that might not be the time to disconnect. Do you guess
I
what I'm
don't know.
saying? I mean, I'm just,
Yeah, I
because
get
if
what you're
we,
saying. Go ahead.
because I just, if let's just say, I'm just going to make this up. Like if Aylin's going out to like a riskier adventure on the kayak or something, my partner. So I might not want to do the exercise where I disconnect everything if she's wanting me to be aware of her energy during that time. So I might just do my exercises for myself at a different time than the few hours when she's gone, if she's wanting me to be aware of her.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm just saying, that's all.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
mean, you can. Yeah, no, you can do that whenever you want to. I mean, but for me, like, every once in a while, like, I just cut everything. And because I need that moment when it's just me and no one else is depending on me for anything. And I'm not depending on anyone else for anything. That, so that I can self-stabilize. That's the purpose of it. And then, you can reconnect however you want to. But I mean, like, yeah, I mean, if there's some sort of situation that's happening, like, like, I have a friend who was really, really sick, and I made sure that our cord was, like, really connected and really tight, and so that any major thing that I would actually feel it immediately, to the point where even it would even wake me up if I wanted to. And I chose that consciously because I knew that that person was in trouble, and that, that if I needed to be there, I wanted to be able to sense that before I actually got the phone call. So I understand that. But I mean, just in general, unless, when you're trying to do this exercise and just trying to get yourself back in balance, I would say just cut all the cords and then reestablish when you want to.
I say someone
Um,
kids, for example, just to have the kids be in like just a regular situation where their chances are they're fine, disconnect, do whatever practices, and then reconnect.
Yeah.
Well,
So just in a lower risk situation. Yeah.
so I that to me, at least to me, kind of runs a line because if you're in a codependent relationship, let's say, then you might be more prone to want to send that person cords or let them cord you because it feels like love or it feels like that's how you support them. There's other methods you can do. If you cut a cord, you can place that person into the light and you can say, I'm placing so and so into the light. Please bless them, help them find their way. Um, you can also say, I hold them as able. And that creates a neutral environment where that divine energy is available for that person. And then if they want to take it into their space, they can. But at the same time, you are kind of taking one step back and allowing that person their path and whatever is happening, and not necessarily getting pulled into it. And the only other time I would not say cut cords if is you're a new parent and you've got a baby. I would not cut cords until that child is probably like 3 or 5 years old. And especially they're gonna probably see a big cord into your root chakra. You are in charge of that little toddler, and they are depending on your energy to a great extent as this little body that they incarnate into continues to grow and process and gain more of their senses and cognition and stuff. And then, eventually at some point that won't be as necessary. But that's the only time that I would say don't cut those cords.
I
Um,
just
Yeah, I would
I
agree
think
with that.
I think the three of us, though, if you look at, and I agree, like too much attachment and the wrong kinds of attachment are not good. But if look at people that tend to be very connected or people that tend to be very independent, I think that the two of you, maybe even, more than me, but like we tend to be on the side of more independent. And so the people that will be watching this are in a whole range. And I just want to acknowledge that
yeah,
for some people in some situations, it's not good to just clean everything off and do whatever practice. And yeah, that's why I just wanted to bring that up.
a cord is a cord is a cord. I mean, it kind of, some people don't even know they're doing it. Some people do. Some people have intent behind it where I want to be supportive. I'm going to send you energy. Or I don't like you and I'm not happy because you're being more successful than me and you've got something that I want. So, boom, I'm going to court you and I'm going to probably do it from behind your back. And if any of you out there are cleaning cords and stuff, you want to make sure you remember behind your back. And the other thing my teacher used to say is get the roots and remnants. Take your time. Take your time. If you spent like 10 minutes and just, first run the energy through and ground yourself, and then like just with a fine-tooth comb, just as you make your way down through your body looking for cords, you're going to be surprised about all the little wiggly things that are kind of sitting there that could allow a cord. And, it's,
Yeah, it's kind of like when you pull out a plant by the roots, it's like there's all the little hairs and stuff. It's
Mhm.
it's that type of thing is what
Yeah,
it looks like
yeah.
energy wise.
I
So,
just want to add, Lorelai, because I watched the replay this weekend while I didn't have my kids with me, and I did the cleansing, just saying my kids are not with me. I'll just, enjoy having my time and just clearing everything. And I was like, oh, what will it feel afterwards? And I just felt like it gave me like just a step back to re-choosing my relationships. My son just turned 13. I have a 15 years old and my youngest is 10. And I feel like it just was helpful to just take a step back and, put myself in maybe a bit different position towards them because, they're growing and our relationship is growing. So I kind of liked it. And I don't feel like it lasted long, just like, okay, just switching, where the cord attached, maybe, if you can see it that way. So I don't think,
Yeah, and
I don't see it like, I guess, as scary as cutting it, even with my kids, because I feel like, they're going to reattach so quickly. They're
yeah,
never out of
no,
my mind for that long.
yeah.
yeah,
Um,
no, that's a really good point, Julie, because when you actually have like an equitable relationship with like your family members, the cord is actually through the heart chakra.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it should be. Because as kids, they start off like connected to your root chakra, and then, and the cord, as if the relationship is actually growing in a positive way for both mother and child, the cord eventually migrates up to the heart chakra,
Mm-hmm.
because that's where the deepest connections come from, is the heart chakra. So if you feel like your connections have moved to the heart chakra, that's perfect. That's exactly where it should be. And if it's not there, when you cut all the cords, you can choose to initiate the cord from your heart chakra to their heart chakra. And then that will actually, help to improve your relationship and how you guys feel even more. So yeah, that's a good one. Thinking about like where the cord is and how it moves.
Yeah, so where it's attached, the quality of the, like maybe the quantity of the attachment, the quality of the attachment. You talked about reconnecting in healthier, more balanced ways, like all kinds of ways we can shift this. I think just like we can um, choose what our filters are or what our shields are and how they're permeable,
Yep.
what guidelines we set for permeability, we can do the same kinds of things with cords, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
Because
don't
if
want,
you
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, the thing to note is that when I look at chords, like Crystal said, like they're always stuck in the back. The ones that are like not for our highest good, because those are the ones that are meant to control us. Those are the ones who are trying to suppress us. Those are the ones who are trying to direct us, right? Are all in the back. The ones that are connected in the front are the ones that we are consciously aware of, that fall into the area of our consciousness and our energy where that we want, that we will accept, and that's what we want.
There's a few things that all this stuff brought up for me. First is the fact in access consciousness, they talk about,
Conchita, can you speak up a little bit?
yeah, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
In access consciousness, they don't talk about cutting cords, but they say to destroy and uncreate your relationship with either your spouse or whoever that day, or destroy and uncreate your relationship with yourself, which is basically, if you wanted to create something new, you have to get rid of all the old stuff, basically. So they use different terminology, but it sounds very similar
Yeah, I mean,
about
it's
destroying and
essentially the
creating.
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's hard to, like, when you say stuff like, destroy things, and people go, oh no, I don't want to destroy things. Like, why would I want to do that? It's like, it's just like, cut it, clear it out, and reestablish, and
Yeah.
that's a much more, I don't know, less destructive way of looking at it, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that they use the word destroy and uncreate in access consciousness because they say that our decisions that we make and judgment, certain decisions can destroy certain possibilities because we've decided we won't go there. And also, and uncreate, so we can uncreate barriers. So it's that the wording is in those contexts. But yeah, I understand it can sound pretty
Yeah, that's
harsh.
terminology. You
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for the record, you can't destroy energy. You can
Oh
transmute
yeah.
it, but you can't destroy it.
Yeah. It's more like destroy and uncreate everything that your relationship was or is so that you can create something new.
You can
Um,
also create a ritual around that too, like maybe you're grieving the loss of somebody you were in partnership with. And once you go through and you potentially remove energy, at the same time, you can honor and sit with the grief, the loss, whatever else comes up, the frustration, the anger, maybe you felt betrayed. It's just as important to pay attention to those things. And I'm kind of circling back the long way to talking about shadow work, because if you have those energies, those emotions, and you don't clear them or acknowledge them, those are anchor points for other energies to attach onto and either feed off of it or hang out in your space And maybe sometimes they can exacerbate it. Like if you thought you were a little bit irritable, they can come in and you can find yourself being very, very frustrated and pissed off. Um,
Yeah. Well, and plus on top of that, it's like if you have something like an old belief, what happens is like something happens and like you end up building on that belief that actually makes it stronger and
mhm.
later on makes it harder to get rid of when you're trying to like, get it out of your space or change it or whatever. So it's important in shadow work to look for those things.
Yeah.
Oh my God. When you talked about the cords in the back too,
Hmm.
that was so hit me really hard. When I was 16, I met my first husband, and I was in high school, and I felt like there was a kick that hit me in the back, in my back, and it like stopped me dead in my tracks at that moment. But it was like there was nothing there. It was an energetic kind of a thing. And then, later I ended up marrying this man, and he was um, pedophile. He got me pregnant. He ended up abusing my kids, and I mean all this stuff. But that cord, I feel, and I have a scoliosis right there in that same spot,
Mm.
too, which I didn't find out about until I was in my 30s, like 12, 15 years later.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think that's probably some kind of an energetic, nasty cord, that
Yeah.
whether or not it's still there. I had another energy practitioner tell
It
me
is.
about
It is.
zipping it up.
It
I'm
is.
sorry. I'm just laughing because Kai and I are both like, yes, it's still there. So yeah.
Well, I still have a lot of pain in this region of my back and my neck and my shoulder. And you talked about it being control, and I feel that. I feel that 100%.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so for
So
me, the way
that's
you're talking about it was an indication that it's probably still there, even though I
Yeah.
couldn't specifically feel it or see it.
Yeah,
And
so that's something for you to work on for yourself is to now that you know like we've just confirmed it's there. So now what you need to do is like understand like try to figure out what your energy signature is and then you can hunt down the cord because it won't feel like yours and then do whatever you need to do to remove it.
Do you have a healing guide that you work with,
Um,
Anne?
Do I?
Yeah. Do you have a healing guide that you work with?
Oh, I thought you were talking to
we were talking
Conchita.
to
No,
Conchita,
I was
but
talking. Oh, was it?
Conchita's the
Yeah.
one that's been sharing
Yeah,
just now.
that was Conchita's question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a healing guide that you're working with?
well, I've had a number of them over the years. Yes, I have someone that I'm working with right now.
Well, if you are aware that you have a guide or you can call in a healing guide, they can also assist you in helping with that area that's been corded. Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
not necessarily a physical person, but your spirit team.
Yes. That's
Okay.
why I said a
Okay.
guide. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And that just goes back to the shadow work that we were talking about earlier too. So whatever the things that are in there that had you be vulnerable to that before and having you be in your power now. So you know you're not
Yeah,
choosing
because
that
sometimes
now.
when you do when you go through shadow work, like sometimes you come across beliefs and you don't realize that in holding those beliefs or having those beliefs that you've allowed yourself to give away your power.
Hmm.
And so that's what makes it easy for people to connect to you because basically your energy system goes, yep, here we go. You can connect right here. And then they just plug right in.
Hmm.
And then and you're like, how did this happen?
Well,
And
and
it's
if,
because your belief allowed it
yeah,
to.
yeah. If you grow up with that, you don't know any different. In fact, the beliefs influence our reality because your perceptions create your reality. And if you are having perceptions about your self-worth that are less than positive, then that's all you can sort for. That's all you're going to recognize and allow to come in is the distorted version of your self-worth. You won't recognize if someone gives you a really positive compliment, you're likely to like, no, no, that can't be true, or it doesn't feel comfortable to accept that compliment, or anything like that. That's a real indicator right there that you've got a belief right there that's fighting with a different reality that's trying to make its way through to you. And again, that we kind of moved into that, but that still relates to making it easier to get into your space and to do chords or bands, or just for that person to like literally step into your space.
Oh, I totally am conscious of where I was having this feeling that when I was 16 and contemplating going on my own, that I was going to run amok. I was afraid I was going to run amok and just, I don't know, cause trouble. And so I totally see where I was willing to give my power away to someone else to want to be controlled.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid of what I would do if I was left uncontrolled.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and sometimes
So,
it's easier. It's, because as kids we're like, oh yeah, our parents tell us what to do, we just do it. And so as at some point though, we have to develop autonomy and go, oh wait, I don't want to do that. And we have this weird spot sometimes in our teens, early 20s, sometimes, for some people that's like into their 40s, where it's much easier for them to just hand over their power and be like, you tell me what to do and I'll do it. And at the same time, that sets them up to be able to not take responsibility for themselves at the same time. Because it's like, well, if so and so told me to do it and I'm doing what they tell me to do, I'm not responsible for that if something goes horribly wrong.
mhm,
And in terms of metaphysics, like that is like way backwards. Like we need to be empowered in whatever we do, and then we need to take responsibility what we do and recognize what is our responsibility and what is not.
correct. And that's looking at your belief system. That's part of shadow work is what program did you get about your self-worth, about what you got told your burdens and responsibilities were, which potentially weren't anywhere near being true. And if you grow up in an environment, a trauma environment like that, you're more likely to recreate it farther down the road because that's what you recognize. And it's weird. It's like it might be unsafe as all get out, but it feels safe because that's what you know. It's very uncomfortable, especially when we first start doing deeper work, to allow ourselves to sit with the work and allow ourselves not to engage in trauma drama. Um, I've talked to a couple different people, at least that like they moved out on their own. And at first they were like, I couldn't believe how quiet it was. It kind of freaked me out that it was so quiet, that nobody was yelling, or I wasn't waiting for something to hit the wall, or footsteps coming down the hall and I knew whose they were. I mean, and so if you're responding from a trauma place, then you're in the past. And the whole point is to get here into present time and clear it so that you're not reactive from that old programming. You can actually create a little space from that, and begin to reprogram yourself, become the adult. Because our job, if you look at yourself inside, our job is to protect our little kids in here. Same thing for a parent. A parent's job is to keep their children safe. Um, so we are reparenting ourselves at the same time when we're doing that level of shadow work. Um, and it's uncomfortable at first because it's unknown. We've not had that experience of being in a potentially peaceful environment. It's like you're almost waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's too quiet. Something's got to happen. And people that feel uncomfortable will start recreating the drama because they feel uncomfortable sitting in that moment, because what's going to come next? Again, if you go back to the drama, you know how that's going to play out. You've done that play several years, and so you know where all the moves are and how it's all going to work out.
That's
That's
what's
the
like learning to build safety in the equivalent of a meditative space, right? And we're
yes.
learning to fill our space with good things.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking metaphysics, but at the same time, it's a holistic system. And the universe will reflect back to you wherever you are. If you are in a trauma place, then you'll get a lot of trauma reflection. The universe seeks balance. When you start doing your clearing work, you'll vibrate at a different level. So again, that changes the energy that comes to you. We create out of our belief system. And so the more you pull out that old trauma, false belief stuff and put in new stuff, then your creations and your creating is going to change and shift as well. Because you're not coming from the past. We can't work from the past. It's not possible. All we have is the present. So if you're pasting or futuring, then it's pulling you out of the present.
What was the question? We have a
Well, yeah,
question?
so no, and I would say
Oh,
this, I wrote to
Cynthia.
both of you, yeah. So Cynthia has a personal question she wanted to ask. So Cynthia, did you want to ask from back there? Do you want to come up here on the spotlight with us? We're recording. It's up to you, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I just had a general question. Yeah, just about my career. I just, yeah, recently left my job in social work, and I don't know if I should continue with that or do something different or different variation or
I
something
t-
along
I
those
reckon
lines.
I recognize your voice, but I don't have your face coming to mind right now. Are
Yeah,
you able to just turn
I
on your
can
video? So
literally.
you won't be on screen. Can you are you able to just turn it on for a moment so we can feel you, see you that way? Or where'd you go?
Oh, I don't know if it works. I don't know if my camera
I think
works.
it was on there for a moment and now it's not showing. Okay.
It's a brand new computer. Sorry.
Oh yeah, interesting. It was on and then turned off. Okay. All right, not that. Did you and I text? Are you able to send me a text of you?
Can you put your number in the chat?
I think I texted you too. Did I Yeah, I think I texted you. Your number ends in 29, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I texted you.
Oh, are you okay? Did you say hello this morning?
I
Were
know
you?
I just did when you were attempting to get
Oh,
in before and it
okay.
didn't let you in. Let me make sure I've got the right number. Oh,
Okay,
maybe it's a
I don't,
different number. Maybe this was someone else that was having trouble. Let me text you right now.
okay. Sometimes it's slow where
I
I
totally recognize your voice.
am.
Okay, so you left your job?
Yeah. Well, I actually got fired, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sometimes it's a blessing to get fired. It can be hard, like just, the
Yeah,
waves of things.
it was very stressful, yeah, for 3 years.
Yeah, so like the blessing, but then like a harder way to have the blessing happen.
Mhm.
And
Okay, so
well, go ahead, Kai.
okay, well, I was gonna say like I'm just in reading the energy right now. It just feels like yeah, there's a lot of chaos, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of um just a feeling of what the hell happened
Mhm.
kind of thing. And what I would say to that is that this is an it what I'm getting is that this is an opportunity for you to look at where you want to go in terms of where are you where are you led to in terms of curiosity, because yeah, it's one of those, the job that you had is kind of like the fallback position in that if I have to, I can go back to that.
Mhm.
The question is like, do I really want to? Probably not.
Right.
So um then whatever the next thing is, like you would actually need to like follow, I'm hearing like follow your curiosity, follow the things that you think about that bring you joy, that the stuff that gets you up in the morning and you go, oh, I get to look at that, or what is that about, like the things that make you interested, that you want to read about, that you want to learn about, that you follow. Those are the things that you need to start looking at as far as like for a new career or a new interest or a new business or something like that. It feels like you're gonna be doing little things here and there until you finally figure out what it is that you want to do.
Mhm.
But what I'm hearing is like, even though you can do the fallback position, they're saying like, I'm hearing that your time with that is done.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
And it doesn't mean your time working with people are done. It's just particularly in that context.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, like working with people, but not in that way.
Can I add something?
Yes, please.
Well, first off, hi.
Hi, Crystal.
Hello. Thanks for joining everyone here tonight. One of the things that came to me while you were talking and then everybody was answering was the frustration that you like kind of beating yourself up like I'm X number of years old. Why don't I have a handle on this yet? I should know what it is that I want to go do.
hmm
Um, and so I feel like that's some internal work that's happening where part of you is beating up the rest of you for number one, that you're bad or failure or something's wrong with you because you don't know what you want to do right now. And that's a lie. So, um, and there's a little bit of shame attached to that as well.
hmm
Um, so sometimes our inner children, that ego state, uh, they think that that they have to keep you safe, and a lot of times they don't know that that's not their job anymore. Um, so you can visualize a little you and just kneel down and talk to her or have her sit on your lap, and you can just say, hey, guess what? I need to find a new job and it's going to be fun. And don't worry, it's not your job to worry about money. It's not your job to worry about finding a job. It's none of that is your responsibility. Your job is to play and have fun. Because sometimes when we feel stress, we immediately pull it inside and blame ourselves or feel like it's our responsibility. Something we did something wrong, even though we don't know what it is, because that's what the old message was, is um, there's something wrong with you or you're not enough or whatever. So I would just encourage you to, um, if you can, talk to the part that's trying to blame you and just say, okay, do some work with that. And then your little kid, just really let them know that they didn't do anything wrong, that you love them and you're so excited that they're part of your life. Um, yeah,
Thank you.
you're
Yeah.
welcome.
That was
It's
helpful.
since I'm an eye reader, that's why part of why I'm looking
I'm
to
sorry.
if I
Yeah, I
connect
don't
with your
know.
energy.
It's
Don't know.
literally
So
brand new
I
computer.
went I went looking. I'm connected to someone on Facebook that has your name, and I don't know if it's you. Is the post that's at the top, is it from 77 and 25 with the same four
No,
people? It's not you? Okay.
no.
Okay, no, it's all right.
Cynthia. I am on
Yeah.
Facebook though, Cynthia Tatkeet. I don't know if I put it in the chat.
Yeah, if you want to put it in, go look. Um, what city are you in?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay, yeah, so big place. So you've got lots and lots of options of what to do. Okay. Yeah. And so you came to this call. Are there ways that you've already been practicing metaphysical stuff?
I don't think I know how to practice. Yeah. Just come to these gatherings. I don't really
So
know how to do it on
you
my
just been
own.
you just been interested and you've been hanging around the space for a
Yeah,
while.
just hang around.
And
Yeah.
you keep laughing. I hear you're laughing to me as like a nervousness.
Mm.
And I just want to make sure everybody's muted too. I found some background. Okay. Yeah, I should mute. Yeah, it's your nervousness. I would say I basically got fired once. I actually decided to just like quit the seconds before I was going to get fired because I knew I was going to get fired. And it was ironic because this place went to like so much work to have me to prove that I was like not performing well so they wouldn't have to pay unemployment and all that. It was crazy and then I quit. So it's kind of ironic how that all worked. And it was a job that was not a good fit for me. I'd been doing it for a couple of years and I was miserable and I wasn't listening to how I was miserable. And so, it got to that point. And I ended up using the skills that I'd learned to pivot to a much better situation where people really appreciated who I was and what I was bringing. So even though I was doing part of my work was similar, kind of the same thing, it ended up being a job where I got to do that and a whole bunch of other things. And it was such a better fit for me. It again was just a number of years, but it really helped me on my journey and helped me grow to all of where I've come on this pathway. So I encourage you to work through the shame that you might feel, talk to your contacts and just the people in your life and let them know that you're looking for something new and what kind of thing you really want. So I would like list off the things that you really appreciate from what you've been doing and go ahead and add on the things that you want to be doing and the things that you don't want anymore, the things that were not good. And so you can focus on the things that you really want to do. And I'm going to encourage you too that things that have been hobbies in your life, things that you do on the side or you give extra stuff to, look at what those things are and how could you include those things in the work that you could do. Because you stop thinking of them as hobbies and think of them as things that people would pay you for. Or find a job where you get to do more of those things where you wanted to give extra hours or extra time, and you went out of your way to work with people on particular things. Like those are going to be gifts that you can give.
Can I just say something? I got fired like 25 years ago, and I'm laughing. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at Cynthia, but it's like it was such a blessing. I look back on it now, like the person that wanted me fired was jealous of me. Like I didn't know that then, but it allowed me to reinvent myself and shift. And so I wouldn't be here today sitting with all you guys doing this work if it wasn't for the fact that I got fired. So I was able to completely change my career and do something that my heart resonated with. And it was such a blessing. At the time, I was devastated. I had a daughter to support. I'm like, oh shit, what am I going to do? But it took me a long time to realize, like, okay, this was really a connection to my heart. It was a way for the universe telling me, this is what you're going to be doing. And so I stepped into it. And I'm really glad I did. So I think, Cynthia, it's going to be a blessing for you. You just maybe you don't see it right now.
Thank you.
It's great. And I think I found you now on Facebook. So I got your eyes. Okay. That's good. Yeah. And I think you do, you have over your life tended to be harder on yourself than other people, right?
Yeah.
Right. You love learning and you've been harder on yourself. And I think going to a place where people really do appreciate you, I think is important. You have to appreciate you, but letting yourself know that you're worthy of being with people that really appreciate you. I think you're ready for that.
Thank you.
Have you worked in social work a lot of your career? Or has it just been these last 3 years?
Yeah, the last like 10 years or 20 years. Yeah,
Yeah, you've done enough.
Yeah.
You've done enough.
Yeah.
Because I used to work in social services as well, and it's like that is like one of the hardest jobs ever because it's like you work really hard, and a lot of people don't even bother to say thank you for anything. So yeah, you've done enough.
Okay. Yeah.
And where in LA are you?
Downtown LA, like Koreatown. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It is a very big place and just different areas where you are, right? It impacts things. So, okay. Great.
Did Todd want to add something to this particular question or?
Yeah, Todd, did you want to say something about this?
Well, yeah, I hope the background noise isn't too much, but Laureli pretty much covered it because I detected also the feeling like I did something wrong, and I guess in the same light of what Laureli was saying, it's like what the hell did they do wrong? Like I would like someone to meditate on like 4 things they did wrong, and then like do a mantra of like try to get in that space of they did something wrong, or even if you have some qualities in your work life environment that you're doing something wrong, maybe it's like you said, not a great fit. I say, where would those things be a benefit rather than a deficit? You know what I mean? So like those same qualities sometimes are a benefit in some areas and a deficit in other companies or other types of work, And the first step is, regardless of how or even if it's worthy to feel shame, there never is, but if you somehow feel that way, it's like just get rid of that first as a first step, because that's just like circumvent the whole part where reality is involved and just like get rid of the shame as a practice rather than having to find reasons in reality that I was not shameful. You know what I mean? It's just like nip it in the bud, as if just find a practice that helps you navigate getting that out of your body. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Todd.
All right, great. And Cynthia, anything else that as we've talked about this, is there anything else that's coming up around this or any other way you'd like some support?
Yeah, I think, yeah, like you said, yeah, it was this, they wanted me to do a lot of things and I did a lot of things, but yeah, it's just, it was time because, yeah, it was time. So I agree with what everybody's saying. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And
Yeah,
I,
so just cut yourself some slack and,
mhm,
just allow yourself to kind of recalibrate and look at what your priorities are and what's important to you. Because I mean, especially when you do social service work, it's like your own priorities often take a back seat. And
mhm,
now is the time to look at those priorities, what's important to you, why they're important to you, and then make sure that everything in your life supports those priorities. And that will
mhm,
include any future jobs you do, any projects you do, any friends you have, any people that you spend time with. It all has to support whatever your priorities are. And that's what will make
mhm.
you happiness. That's what makes life worth living, is having the things around you that matter. So um yeah, start there. Like, just look at what are your priorities, what's important to you, and why is it important to you now.
Mhm.
And yeah.
great. And I just put a link in the chat. There's a video that I made a number of years ago. The end of it is still particularly valid in what formats I recommend for resumes. I know resumes have changed a lot over the years. And like for people that have done work that is, how do I say? So to me, you love to learn and you do connect with people emotionally. So social work in general, like that kind of work is great work with people. And even for a lot of people, they tend to only list what their jobs have been on their resume. They don't list who they are and the qualities that they bring, and they don't emphasize the things about them that they've always brought to all their work that they really want to do. So I just encourage you to look and see who you are and have your resume share who you are. In addition to having that come across in a cover letter, there are ways of having it come across in your resume too. And I at the end of that video, the link that I put in, I talk about the structure of a resume that I recommend. So it's just a way of making it easy for people to see who you are and what you're great at, and yeah. So anyway, so I just have suggestions on that too. So I encourage you to look at yourself freshly, yeah, of what you're wanting to do, and set yourself up so you can do that.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time.
You're very welcome. Well, we're getting a line of people in line for personal questions. So we've got Jenny, and then it looks like we've also got Julie in line. So, um, yeah. And okay,
I
let's
just
see.
want to
Todd's hands back
I
down.
just
Go
want to
ahead.
jump in real quick. Since I know we were talking a lot about shadow work, in case you all didn't know, I actually wrote a book about it. Ta-da! So what I'm going to do is I'll
Yeah.
go ahead and post the link in the chat. And if it's something that you want to think about, look at, whatever, you can certainly do that. And but there are others, so you don't have to look at my book as the end all be all. But if you want some guidance on how to do shadow work, there are lots of books out there. So yeah, you can go ahead and take a look and just see what works for you. But if you feel like shadow work is the way to go, then it doesn't help to have a little instruction.
Oh, and I just so I want to check in. So Julie did pay for a question too, but she only has about 20 more minutes. Jenny, are you gonna, and we'll go a little bit, right? Kai and Crystal, we can go a little bit late if we need to. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
So Jenny, are you okay if we work with Julie first and then
Absolutely. Yeah.
okay, great. All right. Julie, you're up.
Thank you. Um, so my question is, well, since I know all three of you, I guess my question, I did ask about a little bit, what were my next step, to you in the past, and I've been doing some work in the past month, and I would like to have your input on what should be my next steps. I'm a bit more clearer, but I would love to know if you can access some higher information to help to guide me in my next
And
steps.
and maybe can you say a little bit of which of the steps you've been taking in the last month or so?
Well, I've been connecting every day, not meditating per se all the time because I don't always have time for that, but I have been acknowledging and connecting, having lots of signs. I've been doing some shadow work and dissolving cords. I feel like I know more my energy. I do see when, because I thought I was very emotional, but I now see that I was getting everybody's emotion. So now that when I'm in big events, I do like feel it and okay, now it's not mine, and I can release it really quickly. So yeah, so I feel like in the past few days, I felt like I could sit and kind of like connect more and knowing those steps. And each time I sit, maybe I don't sit for long enough, but I kind of I cannot get grounded as much. So in the past few days, it has been harder. Um, so yeah, so I guess I would love to have your guidance on what you think my next steps should be. Um, yeah.
You want to go first, Crystal?
No, I'm gonna let you go first, please.
And I have things I can say too, or I can wait.
Okay, well, Lorelai, why don't you go first?
Go. So how much time are you spending in nature? How much time are you spending with your feet on the ground?
Not
No
as much as
shoes.
I want.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that you're attempting to sit and you're attempting to meditate in in an environment that's not the best fit for you. So go out and stand with your shoes on, it's fine. Like in the rain under an umbrella. Like I really, if it's raining, just be out in nature. I really feel like that's important to you. If there's a pier on some water somewhere, go sit on the pier. Like I just, if you have a vessel, go out on the water. I just feel like it's important for you to be in nature. I can't I don't know what the best place is, but I just really feel that for you. And I feel like letting it happen more naturally rather than attempting to force it. And I think that if you get yourself in the right environment, it won't be a question of how long, like you're going to be like, oh, I need to come back and do some other stuff. Like it's just going to happen.
Yeah, that does make sense. I've been looking out the windows, telling myself I need to go outside, and yeah, haven't created the time to do it more. So it makes total sense.
Yeah, and giving yourself the best you can do of like some open-ended space where you don't immediately have to do things afterwards, and you really have an opportunity to just discover what it is when you do that. The big
Thank
thing that
you.
was there for me. Yeah. I'll pass it on if someone else wants to.
So the first thing that I want to say, Julie, is that your energy has changed. Like you from the first time I met you, like you have progressed for sure. Like you feel completely different. So the work that you have done so far, it absolutely shows. Um, is there more work to be done? Yes. But we all do, like that's where we all are. Like, like you're like, yay, I got my new level. And then here's something else. It never ends. It never
Well, I
ends,
asked what
honestly.
were my next steps, not if I was there yet.
Yeah, it's just like it will never end, honestly.
Yes, I do know that. Yeah.
But you have made huge, huge steps, progress, energy wise, because I feel it. I feel the difference in your energy. The other thing I would say is that right now, since you're looking at chords, the other thing to note is that what you also need to check for is you need to check for entities, because there is an attachment. Actually, there's two of them. And what happens is when you work on yourself, they're really smart. So what happens is if you work on yourself and you start looking for this stuff so that you can clear things out, what they do is they step way, way back so that you can't feel them, you can't sense them. Like, because they understand where your range of sensitivity is. So they step outside that range. And so you're like, yeah, I'm all good. And then they move back in. And what I would say is notice that, because, and it would be like night and day, because you'd be like, yeah, I feel really good. Then all of a sudden you're like, wait, why do I not feel so good? So if you can notice when that happens, and then if you can take the time to do it, that would be the point where you can go, okay, you know what? You guys need to get out of here. And then, do whatever you need to do, cut the cords and all that kind of stuff immediately when they're close, So then that way you can actually feel that disconnection. Because that's what's happening. It's like they're dodging you. And so that's part of your next steps is because what's happening is like as the reason why you're struggling with some of the stuff that you are is because of the fact that they're literally interfering. So you start to do stuff and you're like, why can't I get this together? It's because you have this energy that's literally interfering with you. So that is the thing that you need to do is like get rid of those things first. And then all the things that you've been working on, oh my gosh, it's going to be like fire. It's going to be so easy. You're going to be like, why was I struggling with this? It's because of that.
It makes so much sense because I'm like feeling really good and then I feel very tired and I'm like,
Yeah.
why? It's so frustrating. And
That's
you know, is it like the change, my body resisting the change? What's okay, so it makes so I kind of already do feel them, so I'll be able to notice it now. And do I just send them away? Is that something that's easy to do, or
You can there's a couple of things you can do. You can actually send them to source, or you can actually ask your guides to help you with that if you're not really sure how to do it. Just the thing is you have to ask your guides, okay, I know that there's there, get rid of them, and everything associated with their energy, take it away from me, give it to source, and whatever holes I have from them, please fill it up with energy that is for my highest good. Like you gotta backfill those holes.
Yes.
So part of what we're talking about early on in the conversation, they're not, Kai, I'm imagining, they're not too wound in, they're not too negative and tricky. Like you can do a bunch of it on your own and get help, support, but it should not be too bad.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, they're just they're blocking her efforts. They're trying to weaken her as much as possible so that she doesn't make progress. That's their objectives. And because in other words, like this is like they're in the beginning stages. They're just trying to weaken her so that they can get closer to the point where they can integrate. That's their objective.
Yeah.
So, but right now they're still out here and they're not anywhere here, but they have cords attached to her energy so she can actually cut the cords, have them sent away, repair the damage, and then she'll be able to do all the things that she's been trying to do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's more.
Keep going.
So part of the way they get into your space is a situation comes up and they kind of like jolt you and they're like, that's your responsibility. That's your responsibility. That's your responsibility. And they're not, but they're pulling you back in on that. You know what you know what I'm talking about. So when something comes up and someone's either implying or saying, I can't do this, or this is your job, that's where you want to go, okay, time out on the field. I know it's like a fishing lure. You don't want to bite at that. And have some discernment about, is that really yours to pick up or not? Does that truly belong to you? Or can one of your, let's say it's one of your kids, they can probably handle it. They're just, so that's one way they're getting into your space. You have a big healing guide that's walking with you, which connects through your space as well. And that could also be another resource for you to tap into that, create a more dialogue if you can, if you have that awareness, because they want to really work with you. They're like right behind you. It's like you take a step, it's like synchronized swimming. I mean, they're right there. Like if you do something, they're with you. So, and speaking of swimming, you need to keep that if you're not doing that. And then the last thing that came up was a lot of time, all of us will say, I simply don't have the time to meditate. So a good question to ask you and or ourselves is, what gets my best time? What gets my best energy? Where do I give my energy and my time to? And you can't give what you don't have. And that's true for all of us. If we don't take the time for ourselves to rejuvenate, clear, get ourselves clean, then we're not going to show up as our best selves for whatever the situation is. Um, the part about going out in nature, trees. I mean, if you just want to stand next and put your shoulder on a tree or a hand, um, or if there's a bench in a forest or something where you can sit with that kind of energy, um, you get a lot of internal guidance. You get a lot of internal stuff that comes through. And I don't know if you let yourself hear it or not, or you do, and you go, oh my God, they're talking to me. I am now freaking out. It's official. Uh, Lily Tomlin once said something really funny, like we pray and we pray all the time and we freak out if somebody answers us. It's like, so they're there for you. That particular energy is there for you. And as Kai mentioned, yeah, you've done a lot of work on your energy. I can totally feel the difference. You have way more confidence. You feel much more integrated. And that's another reason why these entities are showing up. It's like, okay, let's push her so she can't get any stronger. Um, and so in a way, it's a left-handed compliment. Your progress has been noted, and some creepy guys want to come in and stop it. So, um, and it feels like your 15-year-old pushes you.
Don't they all?
Yeah,
But yes.
yeah, yeah. So in a quiet moment, just sit down with that and see what the theme is under the push.
Is it like energetically? Because I kind of always felt like she was like she had something, I'm still discovering myself, so I'm not
Right.
there looking at, but I kind of feel her that like she's kind of very strong. But that's
The thing is no, she's not been 15 before. All of us here have had probably, twice that amount of time to be here on the planet, if not more. And when you first hit an age and you've never been here before, it's like that sucks in your whole world. You don't have any other point of reference. All you can do is look at what you were before, but now you're not quite sure who you are now. Okay, they all think they know who they are, but they don't. So, and to them, it's all immediate. Like, how could you understand what it's like to be 15? It's like, well, yeah, I was 15, but I was 15. So they tend to get a little feisty about that, about, well, you don't know what it's like. And it's like, yeah, I do. Um, so when they kind of want to throw that out on the playing field, you say, yeah, 15's hard. It's hard. Yeah. So, yeah, so you can just take some time and sit with that and see if there's that theme, if it's just 15 adolescents pushing against, or is it 15 like projecting that I've got it all together, but underneath I'm really feeling kind of insecure about everything, or maybe there's a couple things that I'm not comfortable with right now, but I don't know how to talk to my parents about it or talk to my mom about it. And unfortunately, a lot of kids think that their parents aren't going to understand because they're old. Um, yeah, we don't get a lot of credit in their eyes for being old. It's, oh, you're old. You have no idea about what it's like. So, so try not to get triggered by that. But yeah, yeah.
when you said about the inner guidance, I don't hear it yet. I kind of feel like it's right there, like I have my ear on the door and I can kind of almost hear it, but I don't. And so, you know, my guess is like meditate more.
Well, yeah,
But do you have any other tricks about?
you have to make the space in order to hear. You have to get it quiet so you can hear. That's part of what meditation is to get a little space from our thoughts. We think we are our mind, we think we are our thoughts, and we're not. We are not those things. We're not our emotions, we're not our body, we're not our thoughts. We're greater than the sum of all those parts put together. But when we're here and we're in this body, um, it's hard not to think that we're our thoughts because they like grab us and run all over every place. Um, so the more you practice being quiet and just trusting about being quiet, um, the more stuff will start to come through.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is like people sometimes think that they have to hear something. Like you don't actually always have to hear something. It's more like you get like a nudge
Mm-hmm.
and you feel like, oh, I should do this, or I'm kind of leaning towards that kind of thing. So sometimes they literally just push us in different directions. It's not necessarily something we've heard, or you might see something that triggers like, okay, I guess that's my choice. Because you talked about that you see signs. Pay attention to those signs because that's how they can communicate with us in a way that we can understand.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing about the nature thing, I kept hearing water. So it's interesting that Laurel, I was talking about like standing out in the rain and swimming and going out on a boat and all that kind of stuff. And it feels just like you have an affinity to water. So for some people, it's like, yeah, it's you need to like be with your feet on the ground to be grounded, but you can actually do that through water as well. So if you are a person who takes really long showers, or whatever it is, or take baths, you can have that same process happen while you're in water. I mean, you can soak your feet, you can soak your hands, whatever, as whatever interaction you have with water that can produce the same results. Because
And
everybody can be have an affinity to certain elements, and I feel like yours is water.
and you shared once upon a time that you like to swim, and
Yeah.
when you swim, you are meditating.
Yeah.
And grounding. It's a whole reset. Anytime you go swim, it's a reset. It just does so many things at once. And yes, I agree with Kai said about hearing. And when you hear, it's not like me talking right now, like a voice in your head. It's a nudge, and sometimes you may hear something, but it's a different kind of hearing than what we think about when we think about somebody's talking to us.
Yeah, like
So
shifting into aware
It feels
instead of
like,
hearing.
I know something and I'm looking for, when you search for a word,
mhm.
it's kind of, I know, and I don't know what I know, it's like there's something coming, but since I don't know how it will come in, it's kind of like I should sit and meditate, but I'm in the middle of something, so I cannot, But yeah, I feel like there's something just out of my grasp.
Can I ask a
Um,
question? Can I ask a question?
Kind of around this.
The
Yeah, go
question,
ahead. And there's more I
yeah,
want to say
the
too, but
question.
Mhm.
No, no, I mean a question for her around her. This concern. Where is in the last all your life? Where are the top three and or one of them where you felt really peaceful and calm and relaxed, but a little happy, like a lot of happiness, but not like excitatory happiness, but just this peaceful, calm happiness, whether it's by water or in the woods, or whatever. Have you had experiences like that?
yeah, by the water on top of a
Okay, and
mountain.
have
Yeah.
you ever practiced? Have you ever practiced? So, how did I have to say this to explain my theory of the emotional body, the mental body, and the physical body? You can't pass through walls, right? We all know we can't pass through walls. But the emotional body is more like everywhere all at once, and all the people's emotional bodies are in that body. So now you're saying earlier in the call, like, where is my body, and what are these other bodies interacting with me? And you're like, well, I get these negative energies or these other things, right? And it's like, well, for me, the most important thing is to learn where you are in the field and where those other entities are, or whatever you want to call them. And then once you get to, and that's why in enlightenment they always say it's about getting to know yourself. And they say in the Bible, kingdom of heaven is within. All this stuff is a linear line of everything saying that you have to get to know yourself and know what. And when they say that, there's a lot involved in that they don't say, which is you got to know where you are in the mental field and what is your mind versus the other minds, and where is your heart and your feelings versus the other feelings, because everything you interacted with from this point forward into the past, from this point forward into the future, outside the emotional body and the mental body are outside time and space. So that means it's all happening all at once in this big fucking blow up. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean that. But this big blow up of experience is the emotional body and the mental body. And the physical body is in time and space. So it's happening in the physical body, but the emotional body is accessing everything all at once. And you're just tuning into what you want to tune into. And the mental body is happening all at once outside time and space, but you're tuning into what you want to tune into. So when you look to the future, you're tuning into all the different possible realities. But anyway, to end it, to go back to the peaceful moment, where you are is where you were and how you felt and how you were being in that most peaceful moment in your life, or the most peaceful moments in your life. So when you get to know yourself, you realize, oh, that was me. That was my voice, that still voice. And when you get down to the nitty gritty, you find out when we're babies that we don't have anything put on us yet as an identity, all these things, right? We're just an empty slate and we're just the emptiness. And as a baby, that's the most outside, like when you come out and it's all cold and stuff, there's just stillness, right? And I think like what it is
And,
that stillness inside is us. And that's
and
what you
Todd,
really are. And that's what you ask us that. Yeah. Go ahead.
we talked about that in the beginning of the call before you were on about the importance of getting to know your own energy. So yeah, you're
Yeah.
kind of
Oh, that's
winding back
great.
to yeah.
Because I
So
think that's
Julie,
my issue, was my issue all the time, is
so
getting to know where I was and all that. Yeah.
so Julie, one other thing I wanted to wind back to also is when you were sharing with Crystal, one of the things that occurred to me is that you are probably also building your capacity to let yourself have and feel your own energy and let your energy be yours and let it feel really good, that you don't have to contaminate it with something else or you don't have to give your energy away. So you're building your capacity to have your energy available and here and feel really good. So that's just part of what you're doing too.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Mhm.
You are welcome. Thanks for your question. All right. So I think we got Jenny in line next.
All right. So I have a question about energy sensing that I'm feeling in sessions that I'm doing with people through my hands. I'm having this incredible, compelling desire to put my hands on people rather than, just sitting across the table from them. And it just feels so important to connect. And there was one client recently at the Ocean Shores MeWe event that I was at, where I asked her permission and I went around the table and I put my hands on her. And I don't have any formal energy training like Reiki or anything like that, but I knew that her nervous system was in such a state that would be grounding. So I did that and I just kept hearing downloads to tell her she's safe. She's safe. And so I did that. And my question is, what is that about? And is it connected to energy updates in me? Is it connected to or the ETs? And Kai knows about the ETs that have around me and that I see pretty much every night, the different ships. I sense things and I also, the last thing before I hear from you is I always check in and make sure that I feel uplifted rather than drained, like I'm trying to rescue somebody. So I don't feel drained. And in fact, after every reading I did at the MeWe event in Olympia, as well as Ocean Shores, I don't know if I even could say I felt spent. And I wasn't like hyper excited, but I just felt happy. So it doesn't strike me that I'm doing this to rescue, but so I'll stop there.
That's great. Great. I just say this part of your gifts coming in more ways. I think you're opening more, being around all of us, you're opening more, and so more things are coming in. You are naturally very grounded and you're very connected to your body. So it makes sense that more of your gifts are coming up through your body. It wasn't obvious it necessarily would come through touch, but it sounds like you're listening and you're taking careful steps. So one thing, just a practical thing, if you are going to want to do more hands-on work with people, you could do things like get online a ministerial certification or something so that you're legally allowed to touch people. So that could be a safe thing that people do.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. You could do it online, really simple, easy things. And yeah, seems great. I think your energy is grounding of people. So it can be physically touching or simply being around you. You're probably grounding for others. So part of it is going to be you trusting and knowing that you do that and that people experience that around you. So it gives you're giving yourself then more permission to allow people to feel that. There's not as much that you have to do for it to happen because you know it simply is happening. Yeah, and I think that you knowing that you're grounded and that your energy can like be more spacious so that more of these gifts are coming in will allow more and more of them to arrive for you.
Thank you.
Who else wants to go? Yeah.
So what's coming for me on this is it's not your energy that's coming through your hands. There's another entity or an energy source that's working to bring that energy through your hands. And this new heightened awareness is a kind of confirmation when you look at people and like, I really want to run healing energy on that person. Or you just have that compelling push for that. So if you aren't certain, you can always ask. Do you have guides that you work with, or angels, or any teachers, masters?
Yes, and I couldn't sit here and tell you, I know that I have, 3 and they look like this or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do ask them, you
Okay.
know, and the angels, especially the angels. I just oftentimes will say, okay, angels, help me. And I don't even define, who I mean by angels. I just know.
Right. So if you're not sure, because sometimes when things first click on, it's like big, and then it takes a little bit for kind of to settle. So if you feel that compulsion, it could be, yeah, that they need healing energy, but are you the correct fit? So that's what you could ask, is like, okay, is it in this person's highest evolutionary good and my own to work together? And then that'll potentially help you weed out other folks that might actually need that kind of work too, but maybe they're not your folks, or they're not ready yet. So that's what was coming around that. So
okay, thank you.
So for me, what I got was that, or the first thing I got was an image of like you putting your hands on someone, like, just like to send them energy. And like there was this situation where the like energy like literally blew back at you. Which is not what we want. So basically by showing me that image, is like they just want me to talk about that there are times when like what happened at Ocean Shores, where you felt like you needed to like touch this person's hand or whatever it was and send them a little bit of energy or whatever it is, and that's perfect, that's great. But there are times when you might want to be less hands off and just actually send them energy instead across the table, just because I'm specifically, I'm thinking like if a and this has actually happened to me, like I would work on somebody with Reiki energy or something like that, and the energy would actually bounce back at me, or there would literally be like a kickback type energy because that person had an entity attached to them. And if you are not able to sense entities, because like they can be like literally attached to the body or in the body, or they could be like around the corner, around the block kind of deal, but they're still attached and they still exert influence on the person and their energy. And if you're not sensitive enough to pick those things up to be able to distinguish between, again, like that person's energy and other, there's a possibility that you could actually get some backlash on that. And I have had some experience with people who that has happened to, and they're just like, oh my gosh, like I felt like I was gonna pass out because I sent energy and like energy just literally blasted back at me, because that is like an entity literally fighting back to prevent you from sending their host energy. So be conscious of that whenever you have that urge to send energy or to work on that person or whatever, that you pay attention to the circumstances of of that particular situation. Because there are some people that you do not want to put hands on. They might need a ton of energy, but you do not want to touch them ever because of what's happening with them.
Mhm.
Because what can happen too is like you put your hands on someone, they have something, that thing can decide it likes your energy better and transfer to you.
Yeah.
Because I've watched that happen too.
Mm.
So that's the thing. It's like, and if you come across someone who has stuff that you're like, yeah, I don't feel good about touching this person, what you can do, and what I've done in the past is, if you know how to create an energy ball, what I do is I create the energy ball and I set it with particular intentions. And that is that the ball will fill with the energy that the person needs. The ball will send the person energy whenever they need it. The ball will renew itself with whatever frequencies of energy that person needs, and that it will dissipate when the person no longer needs it, and whatever energy is left is given to the earth. So then that way, that person, you send them energy, and of course ask their permission if they would like this energy sent to them or take with them. And then yeah, then that way you can actually make sure that they get what they need according to whatever's for their highest good. And you kind of save yourself from spiritual contamination, for lack of a better way to say it.
Yeah.
That's probably the safest way to do it. And you can, and you can do that anytime, every time. So if someone calls you and says, hey, there's this issue, blah, 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 you'd be like, yeah, I'll send an energy ball. And if that person, and again, like with the understanding that if the person doesn't want the energy ball, that it just goes to the earth. But if they do want it, then it goes to them and gives them whatever they need. And then that way for you, that's completely hands off. And that is a connection between source and the person. And you can step out.
That makes sense. So do I just ask for the energy ball from source? Is that what I would do?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, like there's some people, like if somebody like me who plays with energy a lot, like I can create the energy ball in my hand.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if not, you can just ask for, your guides to help you create the ball, do the same intentions that I just mentioned, and then, off it goes.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Great. Jenny, how are you feeling about the new capacities that are showing up, and how are you feeling about, you mentioned the ETs how are you feeling about all that?
I've always had a kinesthetic sense about me and always could feel things. And I feel really excited about the expansion that I'm going through, especially since I am doing another huge round of very deep work. And so the more that I'm clearing there, the more that these are coming online. But the ET part, it's been almost 3 years now since I first saw this group. And they've been extremely just to the max respectful. Like I can't even tell you how much, and just even though I've been begging them to show up stronger, sometimes they don't, because they read me and they read where I'm really at, which is very awesome. But I just, I know that there is a powerful connection, and that it's possible that work is just happening energetically rather than through my conscious mind, yeah.
Yeah, I have to say that, from the time that we first worked together till now, it's like your energy has changed a lot, and you've gotten considerably stronger, like much more powerful than you were when you started. And so I can confirm for you that your, the work that you've been doing, how you've been feeling, like that's valid, because I feel it. There's a significant difference. You've made immense progress from the first time I met you.
You're a lot calmer. Yeah, you're a lot calmer. Part of how I experience you.
I do feel calmer. Thank you.
Good.
Yeah. Great. All right. Well, let's see. Does anyone have any questions about all these things that we just talked about with the 3 people?
Thank you all for coming, by the way. So hopefully
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
everybody got something that they found useful, or that they could think about, or something to contemplate, or something that you go, oh my gosh, I didn't know.
Or is there some topic that you really wanted to talk about tonight that we have not said anything about? This is your chance.
I wanted to say thank you to everyone. That information was really powerful. I took a lot of notes.
Great,
Cool.
great. Yeah. And we'll get this up on YouTube too, so be able to take some notes. Or be able to watch again. But yeah, just as
Will
everyone's
you be
taking.
doing these like monthly, or do
Mhm,
you do
yeah.
these monthly?
Yeah, we will. What is this, like our fifth one, maybe? I forget,
think
fourth
so.
or fifth one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have our date set for the next one or not. We might need to.
No,
Nope.
we didn't talk about the next one.
Yeah,
Not yet.
we've been doing them on Sundays. We did this one on a Tuesday. Just worked out better with what my schedule is like, and not sure if we're going back to a Sunday or a Tuesday next time. So we'll probably talk about that at the end of this call.
I really appreciate everybody being here. I wanted to thank all the practitioners, all the people with questions, and I love this forum because you never know what's going to show up. It just going with the flow, and whatever it is supposed to be, we'll learn something new. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and that's why we wanted to do it, because it's like you never, when we start these conversations, like Crystal and I were just like, what about this and what about that? And before you know it, we're talking about all kinds of stuff. And so we wanted to have other people have that same opportunity and just like ask your questions, or just listen in if that's what you want to do, so that you can grab something that might make sense to you. Because sometimes it's just in overhearing something that, like, oh, that's what that is. That can bring so much clarity to something if you just like, I did not understand that, and now I do. I mean, that can change the trajectory of like the things that you're working on.
Mhm.
So that's why we wanted to do this.
Yeah, it's kind of like following a thread. You pull this thread and it just follow it to wherever it goes, see where it leads. So fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like, we were talking earlier about the different terminologies of different things. It's like sometimes like you need to say the same thing in a different way for somebody to go, oh, that's what that is. Or I get that, or I know how to do that. Or, oh, I never thought of it that way. And that can make the difference in everything. Like if you're trying to progress in something, if you're working hard on something, sometimes it's just a matter of like, let me just explain it a different way. And then like the light bulb goes on and things are so much easier.
Yeah, because it's like a language, and my guides tell me like, well, as you ascend, you're going to speak to people in the language that they understand. So you can speak with everyone. And I'm like, okay, that's not Spanish or English. That's like, you'll know, the words will come. You'll know when you're supposed to speak or be quiet and listen. And it just seems to flow, with this language that we all can share. And, we can elaborate more and yeah, learn something every time. So fun.
Yeah.
I just want to say one more thing on what I was saying with that peaceful spot. The reason we have these meditations that put us into peace, where you go into like a woods and stuff like that, and all that stuff, is to get us into that peaceful state so we can talk to ourselves. That's all. I just want to say that.
Thanks, Todd. Anybody else have any other questions, comments, revelations, anything?
All right.
Aha moments.
Lottery numbers.
I'll take those.
I mean, like, was this helpful? Did you guys think it was, interesting? Was it, I don't know, did it made you like think about something, explain something? Did something make sense to you?
All that, everything.
it's just nice if we get feedback so we get a sense of how this came across for the people that came to this opportunity. It's just helpful for us as well. So that's kind of why we're not trying to fish for compliments. We're actually trying to fish for feedback.
Yeah, I mean, I had fun, but
Yeah, I
I
know,
don't know
right?
about the rest of you. I'm just like, I had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
I like to learn
appreciate
different techniques and different ways of looking at things and different procedures, different ways of working with energy, how to clear things, how to, Kai, you were talking about the entity when I was doing some healing work a few years ago. I remember having an entity attached to, and you explained to me, and you explained it again today about how this entity liked the struggle, like you were working really really hard, and it liked that, so it attached to you. And it didn't it feel, you asked me once, didn't it feel like your feet were stuck in concrete? I said, yeah, it felt really heavy and hard. And but what do I have that to compare it to? Because I've never been on this particular part of my spiritual awakening of ascension and this step in my life. So but now that when you explained it, I'm like, okay, I get it. And then you explained it again when I forget who was going through it, Cynthia or maybe Candace, I forget, and or Conchita. And I'm like, yeah, that's it. So it reminds me of, that's the frequency. That's not my energy signature. And now that I work with my energy more regularly every day, meditating, I now understand my energy signature. So that conversation triggered that earlier conversation. And I realized, oh, I have made progress because now I know what you're talking about. Whereas at that time, I didn't have that experience to understand what the difference was of what my energy signature really was, and where I am now, and how important that is to check in with yourself. So, is this mine? Is this somebody else's? Is it, a chord? How do I, so just, yeah. So enjoying all the conversations as they unfold and always learning something new. Yeah. So thank you. Appreciate that.
I think the big thing is that what is really interesting is not to allow the past to interfere with your present. We all have these emotions, basically these experiences that can really drag us down from our past. And I think Matt said it the best, was that,
Oh, you just got muted. Maybe you got a call and it muted or something. We want to hear what you were going to say.
forward, I think that's really important, is that we can look at the past, but don't bring it forward. Use it as a resource, and then kind of incorporate. Don't even incorporate it. Just let it go. And I wrote down some stuff too, but ask your guys for help. I mean, so many of us have been taught, not to ask for help, not to go there, that, there's no such thing as guides and all kinds of stuff. But there is, and there's so much out there that we don't know. And it's just a matter of, are we willing to accept help from outside that is willing and able to kind of help us on our journeys. So, and I really appreciate, you guys kind of expanding on those relationships. I don't know if she's still there, but the gal that you were talking about swimming, just kind of a side note. I don't know if you've ever done it, but if you go to a pool and just allow yourself to sink to the bottom and just sit there quietly, it's the most amazing thing. It's very cathartic. And you don't have to stay there for long, because I know you can't hold your breath for long, but it's just kind of an amazing experience just to be alone in that water. And you can, like, again, do it in the bathtub or whatever. But that peace that surrounds you while you're just submerged can be an amazing experience, especially if you're into water. So
Yep.
that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I've been
the thing
enjoying
about
water in a different way. I have a pool not far from where I live, and so I'll go down there. It's not heated. None of the pools here in Panama are heated, but it's like 75, and I just have a different experience than I did when I was, swimming laps or, now I just float and I actually do like, I don't know, yoga, I guess you could call it, in the water because it supports me. It's like it's perfect because with my hip replacements, it's like, okay, you have this beautiful pool here. Now you can experience swimming and the water supports you in a new way that you never had before. And then I started doing meditation with water and structuring my water. And I realized water is just photonic light. It's like, 99.9% photonic light, a little bit of oxygen and a little hydrogen. The rest of it it's light. That's what it is. It's like, how beautiful is that? Because everything is light, vibration, light, energy, frequency. So I just love being in the water. Yeah, I don't have a bathtub here, but I use the pool a lot. And it's a new experience for me now in the pool.
That's great.
I did have a comment. Oh,
I'm sorry, like another comment about the past is that we don't necessarily want to forget our past because it had lessons for us that we need to maintain. It's like you keep your past as a point of reference, not a point of where you function from, but where, so it's that thing about those who don't remember the past are doomed to repeat it. And so if you regard your past as a point of reference, like, wait, did I come across this before? Like, yeah, let's not do this again, kind of stuff. Like, it's like your library is what it is. And that's how you view it. But it's not the thing that you base what you're doing now on. It's just if you encounter things again, like something comes back, then you can use your past as like, oh yeah, I've been down that road. I'm not going there again. That's all
or
it's
look
for.
how far I've come. Like, this is what I used to be in the past in this type of a situation. Now I have such a different perspective because I learned so much. I'm such a different person. I have so much gratitude that I had this experience, so I can compare the two to see who I am now and what I was then. And yeah, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it a lot of times. Yeah, I try not to dwell on it because I can bring myself down. Like, oh, don't you remember that mistake or that mistake? It's like, no, that was good. What did you learn from that? Like, wow, very cool. Look how far you've come. So the point of reference. I like that. Yeah.
yeah. I do have a comment about something that was said earlier. I think it was about hearing guidance, and they were saying that they didn't hear their guidance or didn't know they were being guided. And I was saying, it can be a nudge. You don't necessarily have to hear it. And what I have noticed or found for myself is, like, if you think you're receiving guidance, just to acknowledge it and to be thankful for it. And the more that you acknowledge it, then the more it will show up. And that was something that had come up when you guys were talking that I didn't get to speak into before.
Yeah, no, that's
Yes.
very true. That's very true because the more that you acknowledge, it's weird because it's almost like the guards are like, okay, she can hear us now. Like, keep doing that so that we can get more information to her. Like we've the channel is open. We can finally have that communication. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, once, because they try various ways to talk to us, and it's just a matter of like how we receive it and if we are willing to acknowledge it. And so once we do kind of acknowledge it, then they go, there you go. There's our opening. That's how we can speak to them. And then, yeah, then it starts to be more frequent. So yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
I see, even if you're aware of it and you question and you don't listen and you realize afterwards, aha, I ought to have listened to that, simply acknowledging that of like, oh, okay, I got that now. Like, my aim is to listen next time. That's still acknowledgement that reinforces and opens more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And being grateful for it too sometimes. It's like, hey, okay, I got that. Thank you. I might have gotten it a bit late, but thank you for that anyway. And then they'll keep trying. Like that's the thing about our guides. It's like they will never abandon us. They're always there, and they will continue to try again until we figure it out.
It's interesting. I had moved to the Pacific Northwest from like the Illinois, and I was like wondering, why am I here? Like, why did the universe conspire to bring us here, here to this spot? And I kept asking that question in my head. And then one night at dinner, we had gone to a restaurant, my husband and I, and the waiter was saying, "Oh, I just moved here to this, Pacific Northwest," and he said the energy is different here, and it's like, oh, that's the answer to my question of why here. And I've had that drop in like that, where other people answer my question a number of times, and it's like so cool.
I love that. This is a topic that's completely different. It's 3D, but it's not. Has anybody heard about methylene blue
Yes.
product?
Yes.
It sounds familiar, but I don't recall details.
I can't recall the details, but I have it in my head as it's questionable about using it. So that's why I don't know as much about it, because I went, oh, not for me. And I just kept going.
Okay. Well, yeah. Oh, it's synthetic, YELE. I'm into, physiology, biology, chemistry. I'm like, okay, no, I don't think so. And then I went down the rabbit hole. I'm like, okay, I have to rule this out because my mind kept going back to it. It's amazing. It's been around for like 225 years. It was originally used as to dye blue jeans, but they found out it had all these beautiful qualities, like during the war for the soldiers. So they tested it out on anti-malaria, fungal, viral. It works on the mitochondria of the cell to basically boost the mitochondria of the cell, which is as you know, the powerhouse of the cell, right? That's where everything happens. So it's been known to reverse dementia, ADD, ADHD, autism, long COVID. It gives you amazing energy. It clears out brain fog. I mostly read the testimonials of people that have taken it and how long they've taken it. But I've read a lot of information and watched a lot of interviews from YouTubers, doctors, and it got a lot of attention recently when John F. Kennedy Jr. was seen putting this blue dye in his drink, his water, and then drinking it. Everybody went viral. All the biohackers were looking at it to see what the heck is this stuff. So it is really good for you. Have a couple of contraindications, like if you are on SSRI uptake inhibitors, you want to be careful and check with your doctor first. But there's really no other contraindications other than making sure you dose it, and all you really need is a couple of drops to start out with. But it was used for patients that had, and they still use it now in hospitals, people that have had like poisonings of different types. They'll put it in your IV, and they'll run it through your system, and it helps recharge your heart, and it saves a lot of people's lives. But it's really good for anything really that you have that you want to heal from, mold, poisonings, and it also has, I want to say, gut biome. It'll help your gut biome. So when it's working on the cellular level, it basically can help anything. But I'm going to source out a really, they use it in cosmetics too, I think. Actually, I think you put it in your fish tank long ago. If you remember those blue drops you put in your fish tank when you were cleaning your fish tank afterwards.
I don't remember.
So, but you don't want to use that. That's not pharmaceutical grade, and that may have heavy metals in it and whatnot. You don't get it from China, but Do your own research, but I'm gonna order some and I'm gonna try it myself.
So
And
you don't need a prescription for that.
Nope.
I need a prescription
It's
for it.
probably easier to get than the psilocybin then.
Yeah, suggested it's dangerous during pregnancy, but yeah, it's been used for um, cyanide poisoning and shock and things like some different things.
Yeah,
not as used now, but yeah, some of the other things that it might still be useful for.
so there's a lot of podcasts from doctors, and yeah, I've just been doing a lot of research, so I'm going to order some and give it a try and see what happens. I think I might have mold poisoning in my lungs, but I'm not really sure. I know my gut biome. Anybody that's taken an antibiotic is your gut biome is pretty much destroyed from most of the ones that you really need to help you fight off a lot of the autoimmune.
Yeah, just for people that are exploring or considering exploring this or something else like that. Some people do a whole body muscle test to check this in, to check out whether this would be good for them, or they'll write the word on a piece of paper and hold it and feel what it's like in their hand, so there, or when you get the bottle to feel it and hold it. There are various ways of testing energetically to see if something is good to explore.
Yep. Anyway, methylene blue, do your research.
Thanks for sharing.
Yep.
Yeah, anything else?
For sharing about that way of muscle testing. I had never heard of putting the name and putting that in your hand and seeing how it feels. So that's really good information.
Yeah, and I know someone that was particularly allergic to something that's often in food, and so I think she did this energetically too, but she thought it was more physical, but like she would just barely touch it and sense what happened in her body. But you can definitely use something that's representative of the thing, like that, of just writing it down.
Pretty cool.
I mean, I do with muscle testing of the body. I step into a place, like I'll say the thing and step into the place, and step back and then say another thing and step into it. There are all kinds of ways of creating the energetic experience and using whatever you use to test it.
I think like symbology is actually an emotional language because you're getting information from symbology, which is like putting something in your hand, which is a symbol of the object. You're actually relating to it in an emotional state or in a mental state a little bit maybe too, but definitely an emotional state. So then you're getting your information from that emotional field.
Yeah, different layers. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. I'll put our information in the chat again too. So all of us work with people individually, and we are looking forward to coming together again as our group to explore together again in Cosmic Conversations. And some of the people in the audience are going to be in the online fair that we have on Saturday, May 24 from 5 to 9 p.m. Pacific time, 8 to 12, 8 p.m. to 12 a.m. East Coast time. And also on Friday, we have a practice circle. That's, I believe, from 6 to 8:30 p.m. Pacific time. So practice circle for practicing your gifts. The online fair on Saturday is free to attend. The practice circle is a small price. I think is it like 8 to 12 or $5 for BIPOC folks, I think, to come practice your gifts, whatever they are, energy healing, intuition, anything metaphysics. Other practitioners that are active in the community are welcome to come to that for free to be practiced on, or also to practice your gifts and practice new things you're opening to and all kinds of things like that. Great. And then many of us will be we have an in-person fair. Well, we'll be in Salem in the middle of June. We'll be in Mount Vernon at the end of June. And I don't know, we're going to be along the coast during the summer in Oregon and Washington. So all kinds of places you can see us, and we'll be back in Bellevue again in August. All right. Well, I guess then Kai and Crystal, you want to go ahead and check out again and say for the video who you are and how people can reach you?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm Crystal Novak. I am a psychic, conscious channel. I also do energy work. I also do mentoring, short-term coaching. I've also authored a book. And so if you want to reach me, you can reach me at crystal@iknowstuff.me, or if you want to look at my website, it's iknowstuff.me. And thank you for coming. was very enjoyable. I hope that we get to do this with you again.
Thanks, Crystal. Kai?
I'm Kai Bertrand. I am a Hawaiian Kahuna. I'm an author, mentor, speaker, and energy healer. And you can get a hold of me through my website, which is handsonfire.buzz. And hopefully you guys will be here again when we do this again next month. Keep your eye on our Facebook page, or Lorelai's Facebook page, should I say, to see when the next one is. And we do it approximately every 30 days or so. And so keep an eye on it, and definitely come with your questions next time. And, you know, because we never know what we're going to talk about. So it's always a new thing every time we do this. And that is what I love about it, because it's always so dynamic. We never know what we're going to talk about. We never know what's going to happen, and we never know who's going to show up. So that's part of the fun for us. So please, if this is something that you found interesting or you found useful, join us.
And for those of you
Definitely.
specifically
Thank
that are
you.
here in the Zoom room, I've got your emails and I can send you the date that we choose for the next one too. So you specifically know about it. But yeah, everyone else keep checking on our Maybe First Facebook page. And I'm Laureli Shimayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, and matchmaker. I also run the Mimi Fairs. So you can find out more about what I do at intuitiveeyereading.com. You can learn about the archetypes I read in people's eyes at thrivetypes.com. And you can learn about all of our events at Mimi Fairs at mimifairs.com. Well, thanks so much, everyone, for being here and participating in our events, whether they are by video afterwards or during.